Devin and Parker Pipher are with us, of the ALL and the OSL. And of course, they've made some trips to the Ales Hrebesky Tournament. So we're going to talk lacrosse with a couple of brothers, and they're going to tell us what it's like playing with or against each other if they've had the chance to do both. But I guess we can start with the most important question, gentlemen. Thanks for being here. The big question, I guess, is how did you pick up your stick?
I guess our whole dad's side of the family, they play lacrosse. So from a young age, I can remember having a stick in my hands. I think I probably started around 3 or 4. Played soccer then, and I remember I had to make the decision whether to choose lacrosse or soccer at around 6. And I just remember the fact that my dad's side all played lacrosse heavily influenced I didn't want to go to any of the Christmas or family parties and people make fun of me being a wimp playing soccer. So I decided to stick with lacrosse.
Yeah, and myself, we never even saw the soccer. My younger brother and I, we just, as all we can remember is lacrosse. Started playing around 3 or 4, same as Dev, competitively, or not competitively, but in a program with B minor. But we had the stick in the hands before that. Like as soon as we could, whatever, walk or talk, and we were messing around with each other, playing in the basement or in the backyard, and trying to figure out how to hold the stick and so on.
I guess the important question, I seem to have lost my picture. Is it just me? I guess I don't know why I did that. I guess the important question is, what do you get out of it? Like, what keeps you in the game?
Well, I guess for myself, I mean, you just love the community that's around. You love the guys that you play with. I mean, I've been fortunate playing here, we'll say in the Whitby or Durham area for the past, we'll say 22 years. So through that time, you really make a lot of good connections and you meet a lot of friends that you have for a lifetime. So that's definitely one of the reasons. We'll say there's still that drive to, at least for myself, make it professionally. So, you're still trying to put in the work, show up to the games out in Six Nations or wherever, on the late night trips and whatnot, to try to still make it. But then ultimately, at the end of the day, it keeps you in shape and you're playing the game you love. So there's nothing really better than going out there, playing the game that you love, getting a good sweat on and having fun.
Yeah, same as Dev here. Like you still have that dream professionally, but it's just the community in the locker room. Every locker room you go into is different, and every locker room is a fantastic set of guys. And it's just, I think lacrosse breeds a different type of person. It breeds a certain type of person, and they're great people, and they're guys that we both enjoy being around quite a bit. And we've made ourselves a home within the community, and it's just something that I see, at least like you say, for myself, being a part of for the rest of my life, whether it's coaching, playing, or however I can be a part of the lacrosse community. I can't see myself leaving it.
That's an important thing. Gary, why don't you pick up from here, and I'll try and sort out what's going on with my camera.
All right. Well, you guys being as competitive as you are, also as great teammates as you are, was it always like that? When you were kids, were you more in each other's corner or just completely competitive?
Definitely as kids, we did not get along. I'd say Parker and I were definitely mortal enemies. At least that was my perspective. It was definitely, like you say, just so competitive, and we were always outside playing no matter what. Didn't matter if it was hockey, lacrosse, soccer, any sport, any game, we were always out there playing. And we're playing 110%, and like bragging rights meant everything in our household. And so yeah, I mean, as kids, we definitely we'll say there was definitely a couple times so we were at each other's throats, but it took us a little bit, maybe until high school, until we started or at least I started more looking out for him and just whatever, we'll say getting along and just having each other's backs.
Right. Well, you're a couple of years older too, right? So you're kind of the groundbreaker. How about you, Parker?
Yeah, same thing. Like growing up, it was competitive, and it was you had to win. You had to win, or if you didn't, you were going to hide in your room, or because you were going to hear about it for quite a while. But like you say, as you grow older, it gets different. You understand each other a little bit more, and you grow a little bit more of a connection, and you go out and you hang out more, and we'll say go out to parties or whatever in high school, and you start to build more of a connection. And it just shows through lacrosse as well. Like on the floor, there's times where we play against each other, and one of us will beat the other one, and you're happy you won, but you're also going, it sucks that like you never want to see your brother lose. So it sucks to see on the other end that they've lost, and it's a little bit weird, but it's also good fun, and it's always fun when you're trying to go one-on-one and you see them going down, or you get a low pick and you're wondering, you turn around angry, and then you start giggling because you figure out who hit you or who greased you.
Yeah.
Nice. So would you say you guys push each other or challenge each other more in training and preparation?
Yeah, I mean, we'll say definitely, I don't know, as kids for sure. I think just that drive to win, it pushed you even more. Like, so we're always trying to be creative, just find different ways that you could try to win, or and I mean ultimately we'll say, I guess it translated to the floor. Like you'd practice things, or you try certain things, and they end up working on the floor. So I'd say that carried over. I think now more we're not really, I think now we're more figuring out each other's problems, or it's more like more as like a, I don't know, like a friendly or a nice way, rather than, you find somebody's weakness and then you just try burying them over it.
Yeah, like it's a lot more communication, and it's a lot more, okay, what do you see on the floor? What's not working? What do you think will work? What can we try next shift? What do you want to try this game? What we'll say do you need to work on if I'm not, carrying the ball one-on-one very well, or it's more we need to get into the two-man more. We need to work together more than someone try to take over, or try to. But it's definitely a lot more communicative than pushing each other and trying to get each other going and rally each other up, and
it's a changing thing too, right? Because it develops. You develop strengths that maybe you didn't have before, so it's a very fluid relationship, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I would say it's a maturing thing. Is now, instead of exposing one another, you're covering for one another and working that way. Here's a question for you guys: is what is something that the people overlook from your brother? Devin, let's start with you. What do you think that people overlook Parker's abilities? And Parker, we'll go back to you and what people overlook in Devin's abilities.
I don't know. I mean, we'll say at least I would say just the amount of knowledge, or like his IQ and his understanding of the game. Like he's definitely the smartest person. I'd bet the smartest person on the floor pretty well at all times. And just like his IQ, knowing where to be off ball, or like how to slow it down, what to do in certain situations on different types of defense, how the goalie's positioning, where to shoot, stuff like that. Like just, I'd say that gets overlooked, or like, I don't know, or like, I feel like just his size, like for being how small he is, he's, one of the hardest working guys out there. Or like, doesn't matter how many times he'll get hit from behind trying to get a loose ball or anything like that. Like, just, we'll say attitude, effort, all that type of things,
Sure.
I think for Dev, I think his game just gets overlooked a lot in general. He's been, like you say, top 3 in the ALL for the past 3 years, and leading senior B and top 3 senior B, and he's excelled at every point that he's at. And past his training camp with Georgia, he hasn't really gotten much of a look, and I think that there should be the senior A and the NLL looks that have been there for others that should be there for Dev.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. All right, let's delve back a little bit. I'm going to start, Dev, with you with Junior B. You started with the Gales. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about how that was instrumental in development towards your journey to where you guys are now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a crazy year. I remember, we'll say initially going into that year, we'll say the minor self, I felt like, it was junior A or bust. And then by the end of the junior B camp, like it was so competitive out there. Like I was pretty well I didn't have a conversation, but like I was hopeful for a spot for the junior Bs. Like once you see the different pace and the just the different size of everybody out there, like you realize that there's just that big of a gap. And then I was lucky enough. I was one of the last guys to get a roster spot. And then we had such a good team that year. Like we had a handful of guys that were 3 or 4 years older than me that definitely could have or should have been playing junior A spots. Like we'll say Fernie or Jeff Fernandez or Peroni, Johnny Leclerc. Like we had a lot of older guys. Yeah, Zach Ryan as well. He was definitely the biggest helper. But so I mean, learning from those guys at a young age, that was unreal. They showed up and they did the little things right, and it ended up benefiting us in the long run, right? Like we ended up almost going all the way. We lost in the Ontario finals to a loaded Orangeville team, and then we lost in the Founders ultimately to Orangeville as well. But like you say, just to kind of just get your toes wet, see the difference of pace and the play and just the size of everybody. I think that was great and instrumental for me. But yeah, I think just my experience with the Gales was phenomenal, and I was so lucky that we to play for such a winning team. And it was unfortunate that we lost in the championship, but to be the second best team in Canada was not something to be overlooked.
Absolutely. Now you both had a shot with Whitby, with the Warriors. First Dev, you, and then I guess we were separated by COVID, and then Parker, you put the cherry on the Sunday with a Minto Cup victory. We'll get into that because that was one of the craziest finals I'd ever watched. But let's talk about moving up from junior B into junior A and the difference, even though it's just the one letter really, but the difference in speed, style, and size.
Yeah, you know what? My jump from junior B to junior A was definitely, in my opinion, I feel like easier than my jump from minor to junior B. I will say I started. That's when I started like working out or more taking care of my body. So I lost quite a little bit of weight, so I was able to move better. And I think at the same time, like there was a righty there, Connor Kernan. He was our captain, and his younger brother Brady and I are really close friends. So as soon as I showed up there, he pretty well took me under his wing and really showed me the ins and outs, what to do, what not to do, and how to try to play at that level. So that really helped me out. So I can't stop thanking him for that. But yeah, so like I say, I feel like that jump wasn't too difficult, but at the same time, like we played the Six Nations 2017, the Six Nations Minto Cup championship team, and like seeing that level of lacrosse compared to junior B, sorry, that was night and day. Like that team there was incredible. And they ended up beating us in the second round of playoffs. So that was a nice little welcome to junior A moment.
They steamrolled through everybody, so I wouldn't hold that as oh my god we lost. They were just ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll say there was one intermission. I forget what the score was, but I'm gonna say we were down by about 7 or 8. And Willie was our offensive coach at the time, and we were trying to ask Willie what to do offensively and how to score on Dougie, and he was just saying like, I got nothing for you boys. Like, he was just like, if Willie's telling you, like he doesn't know what to do on Dougie, then it's like, yeah.
Yeah, you do your best. Okay, Parker, you with Whitby, you came in into the 2021, I guess, just after COVID, and what a great team those couple of years in there.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. I played in my first year junior, the first 2 years before the break there for COVID.
Okay.
So I was able to play with Devin a little bit before that and then come in. But it definitely was like seeing the team throughout the years progress and how different it was each and every year. And like ultimately winning it in my 5th year with a lot of the guys I grew up playing minor with and a lot of my buddies I grew up in the junior system with was definitely the best or something super cool to go out with and something I'll definitely cherish for a long time.
Right. Winning it in the East where you got family in there too didn't hurt either. But what a game. Because that was the first time that we really seen Alberta come to the forefront, and the penalty shot was the difference maker and all. You had a great series there, and the team itself really came together under Sean Williams. What a great organization, and just showed in everything, because never cracked under pressure, and it would have been easy to at any given point.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting, like you say, to see the team progress throughout the years. When I showed up to tryouts and all the guys were at school, I went to college here in Canada, so I didn't play any university lacrosse. So when tryouts were here at home, I was there all the time, and I just saw the team and I thought, oh, like I don't know if we're even going to make playoffs this year. And then to see like we start the year off and we're not doing that well, and then Willie kind of gave us an ultimatum halfway through the year, and we picked it up, and he kept we kept rolling, and it was good to see the boys come together. We rattled off 10 or 11 straight or something, and then finished second or third overall in the Ontario standings, and didn't stop from there.
Right. Now you mentioned school. You stayed here, Parker, and you took an interesting route. Hey, Devin, you went to Mercyhurst and then Monmouth. Let's talk about Mercyhurst first. What led to the decision to go there? And you had a good little career there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So like you say, it was interesting. I graduated high school. I started, we'll say in grade 10, I was doing the recruiting thing. I played for Edge. I did the travel. I went down to Maryland, stuff like that. But we'll say after my grade 10 year, I decided I was probably going to stay up here and just go to school up here and whatever. But then I graduated high school, and I wasn't going anywhere. And I get a text from Alan Tsang, who ran Edge, and he said, "Hey, do you have any interest in still going down to school in the States?" And then that led me to talking with Mercyhurst, and they ended up having, we'll say, 4 or 5 attackmen that quit that semester.
Mm-hmm.
So they really needed myself and then my roommate out from Victoria. His name's Caleb. But so they needed a couple of attackmen, so they needed us desperately. So they ended up giving us scholarships and asked if we can go down there and start the spring semester. So I ended up going down there. I wasn't ready. I never took SATs or anything like that. And we'll say by the time I started getting things figured out, it was almost September. So it was a rush to try to get my acceptance and everything like that. But luckily everything worked out. And I started down there in January. I had a nice welcome moment there. We had a spring training down in Myrtle Beach. So that's how I met the team. I hung out, we'll say we maybe hung out for half an hour, had dinner, and then we hopped on a bus, and I'm going to say it's like a 12 or 13-hour bus trip down to South Carolina from Erie, Pennsylvania. So we do that during the night. And then we pretty well arrive right at the field, and then we started practice. So then we had that, and then the season started. My first year, we didn't. We kind of struggled. We lost in our conference championship and didn't make it to the tournament, which was upsetting because we had a pretty good roster. Like even now, one of the long poles, he plays in the PLL. like we had some pretty good players, but unfortunately we weren't able to string it together. However, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, they were definitely a lot stronger. We won our conference championship in my sophomore and senior year, and we made it to the tournament both those years. Unfortunately, we lost. We'll say in the quarterfinals or in the semifinals, so we weren't able to get over that hump. But had a lot of really good lacrosse teams throughout my years at Mercyhurst, and like Coach Ryan, he's definitely, he'd have to be the smartest lacrosse mind I've ever met. Like the amount of dedication and hours beside the field, like whether it's film, whether it's game plans, practice plans, you name it. Like he knows the game inside and out. So very fortunate to learn from somebody like him, and very fortunate that he and Mercyhurst gave me the opportunity to not only take my talents, but also to learn at their university.
Right. Was it tough as a Canadian who's a box player to jump into the field game? Because I don't think you had all that much field experience.
You know what? I compared to other people, I'm gonna say I had it quite easy. Like as soon as I got there, Coach Ryan, he was very lenient, and he understood where I came from, and he knew that I'd probably have a better chance throwing a shovel shot with my right hand than trying to pass lefty. Mm-hmm. So he, from the get-go, he never enforced me, never tried making me do anything that I was uncomfortable with, which I really appreciated. And then we'll say my biggest adjustment would just be like kind of the timing, or like just the understanding of how important the possession is in the field lacrosse game compared to box lacrosse. I wasn't really necessarily used to, and at that time, my first 2 years, we didn't even have the shot clock. So, the possession meant that much more. So that was kind of one thing that I didn't really get used to. But besides that, after a little bit, it was nice, and I was fortunate that there was also 2 other Canadians there who played offense. And like I say, in my sophomore year, Coach Ryan, he had quite a bit of trust in myself. Nate Grennan was the other guy, and then Caleb Kieber, who he was, I think he got drafted like 11th or 12th overall to Panther City back in the day. So it was just, we played a very Canadian style offense. So it was phenomenal how accepting and understanding they were.
Right. Now we go into the NLL drafts, and Parker, I want to start with you. You had a couple of them. The first one was Rochester, and you got into a couple of games there. But my favorite question, and we're talking about this off air a little bit, is your first training camps. Was it what you envisioned it would be? Let's start with you, Parker.
It was cool. It was, I'd say, pretty well what I envisioned to be. We got there, and we had a little team meeting, and then you go and you meet the doctors and everything, and you make sure that your body is healthy, or that you're able to go on the floor. And then we had a team dinner, and everyone got together. Like you say, we got to meet everyone. And then the next morning, we had to do a nice workout session. So we had to put up, you to show what you could bench press, what you could squat, how fast you could run, how high you could jump, and everything like that. And that was something cool to watch. And then we got to see the different parts of the arena. So we got to go underneath the gym where the Rochester Amerks and stuff worked out, and they had their little shooting rink and stuff in there. So that was pretty cool to see. And it was just definitely cool to meet all the guys and see everyone's all like good guys. They all want to see you there. They all want to see you succeed. And it was cool. And so hopefully, like you say, get the opportunity to go back and do some more. Right.
Well, yeah, you had a piece with Colorado as well. That was a little bit different though, because I think that came mid-season or towards playoffs. So it was kind of an extra piece just in case. So it's a shame, because I think you could have added something to that team that year. So, and then just recently you were in the Ottawa training camp. Let's talk about that one. Now, what I'm curious about, because they changed everything, right? Dan McRae's now the head coach and GM. Let's talk about playing for him and what he expected of you.
He obviously, being a new coach and GM, he expected quite a bit coming out of the gate. The training camp was quite tough, although there was no workout session, or like you didn't have to do the bench press or anything. There was the on the floor stuff was hard, and you were running, and by the end of it, like I've never had my feet hurt, and my feet were sore, and like my toes and everything, they were cramping for a couple of days. So it was definitely a tough training camp, and he definitely expects quite a bit. Him having the lacrosse career that he had, right? He knows what all the guys and stuff need and what is expected out of championship teams and such. So he expects that out of everyone who steps on the floor. Right. And I imagine he's expecting Ottawa to do big things this year, after a couple of years, especially after the New York years. And, having tasted some really good success last year is to get it to the next level. Devin, talking about Georgia, they drafted you 2021, so they were a bit in a rebuild just after their championship years. And again, coming out of COVID, talk about your first experience in training camp and Eddie Como and Sean Ferris and these guys and what they expected from you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was nervous going down to Georgia. Especially looking at their offense, like the players that they had, obviously like Lyle and Bomber, and then same with Shane Jackson and Brian. What's his name? Brian. 55. Brian Cole.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Brian Cole. Yeah. So that was nerve wracking, but I mean, as soon as you got there, same thing as Parker said, like what a welcoming crew. They were so happy that you're there and just happy to see good effort on the floor and everything like that. And they were also insightful, giving you tips or tricks, things to do. So you're just there. You're trying to soak it all in. As far as Eddie Como, I mean, I didn't expect him to be so friendly or like just the atmosphere around there. It was very joking, like very light, everybody knows that they're there to do the job, and they just want to make it so that you enjoy coming to the rink, and it's very light like that. So that was very nice.
Right. Now you both had major success in Arena Lacrosse. First, I want to delve into Arena Lacrosse League in its own thing and the necessity, because what I've taken from it over the years that I've been with it and writing for it and things like that is that it teaches a player how to become a pro and stay a pro, and using good NLL coaching, the NLL rules, and getting everybody onto that kind of page and elevating. Am I far off with that? Parker, let's start with you.
No, it's definitely like it gets you into the routine of, let's say, playing on the weekends, and there's a lot of guys who have connections with different teams. So I was very fortunate with having Sean Gillies be a scout for a couple different teams, and then him being familiar with me, I was in a position where when they needed a guy, he was maybe able to put a word in or say, hey, I have this player. I'm comfortable with him. He might work out well in this position. So it definitely does prepare you for, like you say, the professional league. It teaches you the rules, and it gets you familiar with that style of game because it is quite a bit different. Being able to use the crease to your advantage instead of having to avoid it pretty well at all costs. Refs are a little bit more lenient in that area, and it's gets you used to shooting on the bigger nets with the spoons, which is something
Always
you dream
nice.
about. Yeah.
Right. Duff, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, like Parker says, there's definitely a difference in how the game's played in the summer and the winter. So it's nice having a league that caters to more of the winter's style of play. So like Parker said, the rules, even like the TV timeout, the break every couple minutes, like that's a game changer, especially coming like having a little bit of time off. So you definitely like that. And I mean, it's also great to just give guys the opportunity to still have the stick in their hand, you know, and like still play competitive lacrosse. Like, and I mean, we're pretty fortunate that there's 3 teams playing out of Oshawa. So the travel's definitely a lot nicer in the winter than it is in the summer for us.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing that comes across with the ALL is that the league in itself really works well for you guys. You both have had great careers. Parker, you were the MVP last year. I think, Dev, you finished 3rd overall in scoring in that. And both of you have been on different teams, whereas now you're both on Whitby. Talk about playing against each other, and now you're on the same page again. So pretty much everything you can do, you can use the brother mind melt really, and kind of work against other teams.
Yeah, it's like it's nice because like you say, I know where he is on the floor most of the time, and I know what he likes to do, and he knows what I like to do, and we kind of work quite well together. And we know if we like to be in certain spots, then we'll switch it up for different times, and we'll let each other like have those positions. It's definitely nicer playing with each other than against, because like you say, you don't have those awkward feelings after the game or before the game when you have to drive there together and then drive home and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Everybody's asking you what are the emotions like, or what are the conversations like? But I mean, at least between us, like we'll always just keep it light, but deep down that you want that win.
Yeah, and it's nice, like you say, for us, we can get under the other team's skin quite a bit, quite often. So
you get the inside scoop on the other team, so you kind of know how to get the other guys going.
Yeah,
nice.
Or not having to hear, that Pipher's I'm gonna stick him, or whatever. He's a rat, and so
yeah,
you don't have to deal with that anymore or anything. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, now we just won't hear it.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned Brian Cole, because when I had him on the show, we were talking about ALL, and we came up with a thought of maybe the ALL could be a lot like the AHL eventually down the road. There's almost enough teams now. I imagine Paul will do some expansion, either west or east or both. And over the years, I think there's been 30 or 35 guys that have gone and stayed in the NLL. Would it make more sense to have each team have their own? That way they can keep control of their draft picks. They can groom them. They can coach them. They can keep their own organization, but still under the tutelage of Paul, because he's run everything so great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a fantastic idea. And I think it'd only grow or promote the sport even further. And like you say, like having a farm system or something where drafted players could kind of play in a system, or where it's just a cohesive unit, that would be nice and ideal. I just think that whether it be financially or the travel, I think that'd just be the tough part behind it.
Right. I just think, the exposure there is so good that instead of hanging your stick up after OSL or after MSL, that you guys get to keep going. That I think number one is an advantage to get you looked at, because there's always eyes in there. But number two is, even come summer ball, you guys are way ahead of a lot of the guys who are starting out who haven't picked up a stick in 6 months.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. It's just, I think, hard to get in a position to be able to give each team farm team and such. They do a pretty good job as it is now of trying to connect guys to the league, and I think they are affiliated with the NLL. So like even this year, guys who are on practice rosters and stuff, they don't have to pay their fees for the league. Like, so they are trying to progress it into a way where it is more like the AHL. I think there's quite a bit of work to do. And then also it being like located mostly in Ontario, with each team being within 2.5 hours of each other. And then the same out west, like it gives advantages to certain teams. Like they're able to have their farm teams in their exact area, where like teams like Georgia or Colorado or Vegas, there's just no shot of their farm team having as much of a connection as what their teams do on the floor and such.
Right. Yeah, I have to give some to U.S. Box because they're starting to model after it, but they're way behind in that respect for something like an ALL. I think PBLA was the closest thing that they got, and that went down quickly. Let's talk about the Hrebesky tournament. I love the play. I love it from the moment I stepped off the plane. I loved it. One of my favorite takes on it was having Brady Kiernan on the show. And he had the most memorable thing talking about you're walking down a street in a neighborhood and people are walking their dog and going to school and there's a rink in the middle of a neighborhood. What was your first impression about coming in there and just taking a look around and going, whoa? Dev, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty well sums it up. I remember it was just that was my first time ever going to Europe, so I was just pretty well mind blown the whole time, or trying to take everything in, and it was just it was a crazy experience having to go from the Airbnb, hop on a train, to then make your way to the rink, and like you say, then you have like a 5 or 10 minute walk in a residential area, and then out of nowhere you have this massive facility where like some of the most passionate fans I've ever seen, or like people that care about the game. And it was just incredible to see that firsthand, but it was just crazy to also just know that there's people outside of, we'll say, Canada or Ontario, like, who really truly care about the game, like box lacrosse, like that. So I think it was just awesome. Like you said, I played for the Gales when I was younger, so I heard about the stories of this tournament since I was 16 years old. So it's definitely been on my bucket list for the longest time, and definitely super happy to get the opportunity to went this spring.
Right. Parker, what's your thoughts on this place?
Yeah, I think it's just incredible that, like you say, a place like this exists in the world. I think there should be tournaments like this more in around here. I don't know why there can't be. I think, like you say, the fan atmosphere, it's so cool, and they just do it the right way, where they have the pub right there, and it's cheap drinks, and the spectators and everyone, they go and they enjoy it, and they get into the game a little bit more. And like you say, they really truly care about the sport there. They don't play it because they think they're going to get famous, or they think they're going to go to the NLL. They play it because they want to, and they want to show up for LLC Raritan, or they take that crest that's on their chest. They take it seriously, and like they grow up watching it, and that's what they want to do.
Right. Now, playing for Team Tel Aviv, interesting in its own right. We'll get to how you got involved with that, but it had an extra meaning, especially 2018 when they won, because as David Denneberg had sent me a picture of 1939 and Hitler marching his officers on that spot. To have Tel Aviv win the championship, I guess good triumphs over evil and everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Tel Aviv obviously being a historic team, and they're like guys just so deeply connected to the roots and such there. It's so cool to go and be able to win games and such on in places like that.
Right. Talk about, well, you guys had such a great one last year too, because nobody beats Raritan in their hometown, and not did you beat them once, you beat them twice, and both of you guys were big parts of it. One was in a rain bowl, so let's talk about that. The next time you see a game canceled because there's a few drops of sweat on the floor, playing in torrential downpours is a whole other animal, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's definitely one thing I did not really think about, especially, and you'd think that that'd just be common sense, but like, you know, that you're playing in an outdoor bowl, but I did not think about rain or anything like that. And the shoes that I brought, I should have brought ice skates. Like, they were pointless out there. So like you say, that first game that we played, I think it was only like 2-1 or 3-2. Like, it was a very low scoring game. Like, the puddles that were on the floor were just insane. So that was an interesting game, but like you say, it was nice to come out with that win. I think we won the shootout there.
No, I don't think that one. I think that was the next one, but we won in the shootout.
I thought the first time we played them, we won in the shootout in the round robin.
No, I think it was the second one.
Oh yeah. Um,
I broke my mesh that game.
there you go.
Well, you won both of them anyways with them,
Yeah.
and you guys eliminated them for all intents and purposes, which was another feather in the cap. It's a pretty crazy thing. How did you guys get involved with Tel Aviv in the first place? I had Chad Culp on a couple of weeks back, and it was fun talking to him about some of the stuff and his stories playing with them too and coaching.
Yeah, so when I got drafted there, I was Gavin Prout was someone who was contacting me and stuff before the draft, and he was Rochester's offensive coach at the time.
Mhm.
So he was someone who was on the bench for Tel Aviv, and he just said, "Hey, there's a tournament here. You want to come out, keep the stick warm and such." And then just went to the tournament, played there at the Laxnai, and then just through talking to some of the coaches and stuff, they just said, "Hey, like, do you guys have any heritage?" And we do on our mom's side, so we were able to just work it out and figure that and stick in with the team.
That's wild. That's wild because the program itself it's come together over the years, and really watching you guys in there, you guys just meshed nicely. Talk about on that team. You've got Israeli players, you've got Canadian players, you've got otherworldly players, and it's to me, it's probably the most worldly team we got out there because everybody else is coming from either Ontario or coming from Poland or whatever they're doing. You guys are a mishmash, and to be able to get everybody on the same page is a trick and a half, and you guys pull it off beautifully.
Yeah, so for that, you have to give a lot of the credit to the guys like Jakob Silberlek and Matt Flapin and such. Like those guys are and Drew. I can't think of his last name right now. Drew Morris. They are guys who really take pride in Israel and in Israel Lacrosse, and they're constantly over in. They live in Israel, but they're working in building the field lacrosse community there. They're constantly working in building the box lacrosse community there, and really giving those kids opportunities to play lacrosse and expose them to the game of lacrosse and the opportunities of what we hopefully, or somewhat the opportunities of what we receive over here.
Yeah, and just to go off of that, like Parker says, like it's purely the attitude of the team. Like I've never seen a group that has been more thankful just to not only be together, but just to put on the jersey and play the game. Like it didn't matter if it was the best player, the worst player, the oldest, the youngest, like every single person was just so thankful to be there, so happy to be there. It's so bought into just one goal, right? Like going out, working hard and getting a win. So yeah, I mean, once those were the principles, like you say, we found that pretty easy to fit in, and you just, as long as you're working hard and doing your best, then they're gonna love you. And like they're so welcoming. They're just a great group of guys that they really know how to bring you in and make you feel like family.
Right. Excellent. And as you see over my head, of course, I've got the Gold Star jersey that I got from David back in the last tournament. Trying to put all the stuff that I have of your guys up there is wild, between the Brooklyn jersey, between the Gales cap. I even found a swarm Nighthawks cap there as well. Yeah, I'm trying to find as much as I can in here, digging into the archives of stuff in here. Let's talk about OSL. Let's talk about Brooklyn. Specifically, let's talk about this year where everything finally came together. It's been close, and this year everything came together, and more or less this would be the closest thing that you guys dominated all summer long. You had a couple of different lineups throughout the summer, but the core was there, and with Deacon and that, and you guys, as well as a whole host of fantastic players from everywhere. It really came together nicely. Talk about the team and the atmosphere.
Yeah, the team itself, like it's like you say, it's mostly built from the core, and some of the core is even like guys that you don't see, like guys that the team is so It's so much bigger than, we'll say, just the guys on the floor. There's guys that show up to practices every single game, every single time, and make sure that we have enough guys to practice that don't necessarily get the opportunity to perform on the floor, but just that type of character shows what really helped our team propel to where we eventually were able to get this year. It didn't work out in the end, but second place isn't something to be too frustrated about. Like you say, it would have been nice to go the other way if we came out and battled in the first, but we were a little flat, and we got taken advantage of, which is going to happen when you play a team with the caliber of guys like what Snake Island has. But yeah, not to get too distracted. The group of guys that we have in that room is incredible, and a lot of us have played together for years, and we just have that care for each other and that want to show up to the rink and perform for each other.
Yeah, just to go off what Park said, like you said, come game days, there's a 20-man roster posted, but our roster was so much bigger than just 20 guys. And, we only go so far as, the guys that are coming out and actually helping us field the practice, because we have a lot of guys that are coming from out of town, right? So they're not always able to make it on a Wednesday night practice or whatever after work. So it's these other guys that are showing up at Clearview to play a Sunday game that really aren't getting the recognition that really they're the backbone of our team. And in saying that, having that culture where, you're just happy to be there and play, that just, it builds as a whole. And we, as a team, we're always going out after drinks or hanging out, whether it's parties, stuff like that, we're getting together. So that's nice, right? Because bonding off the floor is almost just as important as having a connection on the floor. So it was a really fun year in that sense. And like Park says, a great group of guys, all mostly from around here. So you know what you're getting every day that you show up to the rink. You know these guys in and out. So that's definitely fun as well, right? Like, playing with somebody for the past however many years, and like the amount of inside jokes and everything like that. Like that's why you keep playing, right? So definitely, definitely a good group. But like Parker said, there was a lot of effort gone into this year, not only on the floor, but off the floor, whether it was behind the scenes with Prouder and everybody trying to figure out to make it streamlined. But unfortunately, not all good things come to an end. And it was just a good taste, because this is my fourth year with the merch. And my first year, we actually folded the last 2 games of the year because we couldn't even field the team. So, we never won the Ontario finals the past 2 years. And then this year we did, right? So like it's baby steps. And if you look at the President's Cup, most of the time the teams win. They had a few years where they're second, third, fourth, at least battling in the tournament before they could pull it off. So in my opinion, it's just baby steps,
Absolutely. You guys jumped a little bit ahead of me on the President's Cup. I was more talking about the OSL playoffs, and I thought you guys showed the maturity of a team that is on the same page the way you played the finals against Six Nations. And you wouldn't get drawn into stupid penalties. You let them take all the dumb penalties and made them pay almost every time that they took one. And you carried that actually into the President's Cup because you did the same thing to them. And again, you were able to keep your composure and not get drawn into silly things. And that's just a sign of maturity in a team that works well together. I love what Gavin Proud has done with the whole organization and bringing it back for the front of the jersey and not the back of the jersey. Playing for the Brooklyn name, whether it's the Merchants or it's the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, and bringing that kind of heritage back and bringing those kind of people back, which brings that kind of the feeling, the aura of the team back to something that was very special in the early 2000s for both. And I think that you guys are on the right track. As for the President's Cup, you guys had a great tournament, and the final, I really wouldn't worry about that. They had a great game plan. They figured a way how to box both of you guys out, where you guys were doing all your damage inside, and they made you pay every time you thought about going anywhere near it. And they just pounded, ground and pound, and it kind of took you guys a little off guard. And once it started settling in, by the time you guys had an answer, we were already deep into the third, and that's it. And that, I think the next time around, you guys are that much wiser to what's going on, and I don't think you guys get pushed into that kind of situation where you're trying to figure out new ways on the fly. So I think it's just the evolution of your team, and it's what you said. It's more than baby steps. I think it's just giant steps towards the next goal, because you never made it to the you never made it to the finals here, and then now it's about not just being there; it's about taking home the trophy.
For sure.
Yeah, so like you say, I think it comes with maturing. We had previously lost in the past couple Ontario finals to Six Nations from them just beating us up, and us eventually, like I think both times we were up in the series and they came back and reverse swept us. And like that was just from them beating us up and us starting to get frustrated and retaliating, maybe not in the right way, and stuff like that. So I think we were just able to take that and bring it on into the future years. And
Right. Now, the brotherly element. Let's talk a little bit about that. The idea of the Pipher brothers, that's becoming a brand all of its own. You guys have been able to elevate and actually put fear into other teams, knowing that both of you are coming, and you both continually are in the top echelon wherever you're playing, whether it's in OSL, whether it's in ALL, it doesn't really matter. You guys elevate the team and elevate your own play to whoever you're playing. Do you see this moving even further forward down the road as coaching?
You know what? I mean, I would love to. I would love to. However, I mean, I think eventually I will coach. I don't think that we will coach together, just because I feel like we really are, at least myself personally, I really only know offense, and Parker, he's also a specialty in offense. So I feel like that just wouldn't really match up too well, or at least it wouldn't be the most beneficial. Like, I feel like at least he would try to find a friend who plays defense, and I would probably try to find a friend who plays defense. You know what I mean? Try to get a good balance.
Yeah, I did a bit of coaching last year. I was looking to do it again this year. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get a team in Whitby at least. And I think what makes it difficult as well this year, like if I were to get a team, I wasn't thinking of having Devin on the team because we both still play on the same team. So if I have to miss something for lacrosse, then that would take him away from the bench as well, and that's just it affects the kids, and I don't think that's something that needs to be dealt with. I think you can avoid that early on, and if you can, you should.
Right. Have you guys thought about doing camps or clinics? Something for March breaks, something for summer programs, and open out for the Clarington area, being that you're there.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. It definitely not only to give back to the community, but could be a little side gig. I think, especially now with Oshawa getting an NLL team, hopefully that just makes there that much big of a boom. I'm going to say, just in the past, there's been a few guys that have run camps around here, guys like Dyson or even like Adam Gardner, stuff like that. So at least myself, I've kind of leaned away for it just because they kind of got a bigger name or a bigger following than I do. So, but I think it is a good idea.
And I think that's slowly changing. I think your names in lacrosse are, elevating to the point where most everybody who's in it know the Pipher brothers. So I think it's time to capitalize on that. Parker, you agree on that?
Hopefully, like you say, it's it takes quite a bit of work to, I think, get it set up, and that's just something we have to look at and figure out the logistics of it and stuff more than anything. And like you say, it would probably be better to do it in the winter when we're less busy, and we just have to find like you say, a following and availability and floor time and stuff where we can do it. And
right.
That just takes work, and we haven't really looked into it at all.
Right. I would pick a March break and start looking probably when you're doing summer ball and trying to figure that out. And then you can try and see about arenas and things like that, and keeping Clarington where everybody knows you guys, especially, and build from there. I think would be a prime idea, not only just for you guys, but just for give back to the area, and the fulfilling idea of that one, because that's how all of this is built on. That's the beauty of the lacrosse community, is that everybody is so willing with their time and willing with their efforts on pushing everybody else up. And I don't know any other sport that does it as well as the lacrosse community in doing something like that. Well, guys, you have ALL this week. Let's talk a little bit about this season now that you're together. Different mindset, yeah. I think we've lost them. I think we've lost them.
Well,
Okay.
I guess we, if they can hear us, thanks for doing this, guys. We really appreciate you. Of course,
Absolutely.
The two brothers, Devin and Parker Pipher. Nope, doesn't look like they're coming back, Gary.
No, it doesn't. No, but I want to thank them for taking their time on a Thursday evening, later in the evening. On top of that, in a snowy little week here in Ontario. Oh, they're gone.
Oh boy.
Well,
They're gone completely.
Yeah.
All right.
I really want to thank them for taking the time and doing it. It was a wonderful interview. They are playing this weekend, ALL, over in Oshawa on Saturday. So if you have an opportunity, go out and have a look at it. For next to no cost, you're getting NLL style play, and it is worth every penny. And it is so much fun, and these games are so competitive. Give it a look. Frank, as always, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thanks, Gary. For Gary Groob, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for joining us on our Thursday show, NLL Lacrosse Talk. And tonight, a little different time. We'll be back at 4 o'clock probably next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you around enjoying lacrosse. Pick up a stick, give it a shot, see how you like it.